Hey guys, Richard here back with another episode of the Cosmic I Ching, and we're on Hexagram 46 today. Almost there, almost to the end. Pushing upward is the classical definition of this hexagram, classical name. But you can see right away the alternative name here, given by the Cosmic I Ching, is actually being lifted up by the helpers. You notice the difference there. One is pushing upward, which implies effort on the part of the person to push upward. However, the other phrase, being lifted up by the helpers, implies that you don't have to do it all alone. So let's see what this hexagram is all about right here. We've got earth over wind. The judgment, pushing upward, has supreme success. One must see the great man, fear not. Departure toward the south brings good fortune. The cosmic theme of this hexagram is how inner development leads to the fulfillment of one's life. Supreme success in cosmic terms is achieved through freeing the true self by subtracting step by step the false internalized program of the collective ego. Each subtraction of a false seed phrase or image initiates a transformation that involves being lifted up by the helpers of the invisible world. By contrast, the attainment of supreme success is presented by the collective ego as ascending to a high position in society, business, spirituality, etc., through accommodating oneself to the collective ego's values and rules. Success in ego terms involves pushing upward through mental effort and external action. In the latter, the person is without the aid of the cosmic helpers. He must battle through his difficulties alone. In the course of these battles, he invariably runs into conflict and uses power, and thus creates a fate. Cosmic success is achieved through inner action that is directed at bringing oneself into harmony with the cosmic way. It is carried out simply, without ambition, and through asking for help. The result is success. Receiving this hexagram is counsel to make a decision between these two paths. Where he puts his wish, he puts his will. Is it the path of his unique destiny that he alone can trod by following his inner truth, or the one laid out by ancient wisdom that has been trodden by others? Pushing upward has supreme success refers to getting past obstructions and difficulties in a specific way, through saying the inner no to their causes and asking for help from the cosmic helpers. One must see the great man refers in this hexagram to the helper of transformation, which is called forth by turning within in meditation and asking for help. Departure toward the south points to the direction in which one finds this help within, rather than up, as in heaven. Fear not counsels that if a person does this, he can safely let go of the dread he may have of what will happen. With regard to the individual ego, this hexagram points to its ambition to remain in control of the personality. The thing the ego most dreads is the person's self-examination that would expose its tricks and manipulations. Therefore, once a person has decided to undertake the liberation of his true self, the ego's first move is to join the effort with gusto. Just as it had once eagerly set itself goals of brilliance, power, and success in worldly attainments, it now renounces them and puts up the values associated with self-development that will show it as modest, true, spiritual, and devoted. It then proceeds, if not halted, to beat the person to death, if necessary, to prove itself devoted. It is the purpose of the many ascetic and complicated practices associated with self-development to divert us from ever seeing that accessing the sage is meant to be simple and direct. Wow. Wow. It is the purpose of those practices to divert us from seeing we can simply and easily connect with the sage to get true help in our lives. Wow, 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 wow. It's simple and direct. The lessons with the sage always have a liberating effect, whereas self-development through the ego enslaves us more and more. The ego is ever goal-oriented, and discovering its goal orientation is one of the ways to catch on to its presence and trickery. Its means of pushing upward is one of the upgrade features of the collective ego's program, which allows the ego to adapt to the shifts and turns the person makes as he tries to get free of it. Sometimes a person receives this hexagram as confirmation of the help that has followed his relating to a situation harmoniously, as after he has said the inner no to wrong intentions on the part of someone, and then turn the matter over to the cosmos. Being pushed upward refers to the transformation that takes place when he has correctly said the inner no. Spells connected with this hexagram have to do with traditional interpretations that suggest the desirability of pushing upward on a ladder of success, the success defined by the collective ego, and making the effort required to overcome obstructions, as through taking competitive examinations, accommodating oneself to rules and regulations, and integrating them into one's mental program. Yeah, I've done a lot of that myself, to be honest with you. The person is asked to bend himself around the resulting obstructions and to stretch himself to tolerate them as normal, rather than looking into their causes and saying the inner no to them. These spells include phrases such as accommodation and integration are part of the civilized way. You can't fight City Hall. Nothing comes from nothing. No pain, no gain. Tolerance of ideas means integrating them. No, it doesn't. Just go with the flow. And the way to overcome obstructions is to bend to the fact that they are harder than you are. Oh, God. Many misinterpretations of the traditional I Ching come from commentaries that have misrepresented nature's way, as in this case, where seedlings are pictured as pushing upward through the soil with effort. In reality, they are moved up by the helpers of nature, which achieve things through transformation, no effort required. Rather than using energy, new energy is created in this act. From these misinterpretations, false analogies have been drawn and applied to human life as wisdom taken from nature. Wilhelm says in his commentary, pushing upwards indicates rather a vertical ascent, direct rise from obscurity and lowliness to power and influence. Line 1. Pushing upward that meets with confidence brings great good fortune. This line describes the true confidence that grows from following our inner truth and finding that we are lifted out of our difficulties by the helpers. This confidence comes from repeatedly experiencing the reliability of the sage's guidance and help to understand the hidden factors in situations. It happens gradually through taking small steps of trust by temporarily suspending one's disbelief. The inner growth achieved differs from faith, which requires a person to put aside his common sense in favor of trusting an abstract concept taught to him by human authorities. To develop a direct personal connection with the sage, communication with the sage, the person needs to remove the spells that have been put on his common sense. Receiving this line is to reassure him of the great good fortune that comes when he builds confidence in this one-to-one relationship with the sage. This line may also point to a person's lack of confidence in his feelings, or a doubt that he will receive help from the sage or the helpers in time. Lack of such confidence in his feelings points to phrases operating in his inner program that say, I can't trust my feelings, or if everything depends on the helpers, how do I know they will come in time? This line can also indicate the presence of a self-confidence coming from the ego that gives the person the impression that his undertakings will be supremely successful. He can use the RTCM to find out whether this meaning is intended, and if so, he can then identify the causes of his false confidence. Line 2, if one is sincere, it furthers one to bring even a small offering, no blame. This line calls a person to make a small offering that will restore him to his wholeness and free him from blame. Small here gives the clue that one or more seed phrases are indicated, which are at the root of great trees of thought. The object is not to deal with the whole tree, but to identify and extinguish the seed that has given rise to it. Throughout the I Ching, making an offering means to divest oneself of a mistaken idea or belief by saying the inner no to it, or deprogram it in a short meditation. The offering referred to here is the idea of original sin/guilt and the beliefs it has given rise to, that, due to their false nature, cause real blame. The single idea of original sin is such a seed because it is a slander put upon nature itself, of which we humans are one aspect. When a person possesses this idea, which has given rise to the belief that the self is divided into spirit, mind, and body, he wants to push himself up and out of his slandered animal nature. This impulse to escape his own nature provides the entire basis of the hierarchical view of the universe and of the human effort to escape the influence of the body by becoming spiritual, meaning non-animal or incorporeal, without body. The idea of humans as potentially spiritual provides the basis for seeing humans as being at the center of the universe. All these derivative beliefs, which come from the one belief that a person's original nature is flawed or tainted, separate humans from the cosmic unity and are real causes of blame. This is because the demonization of any part of one's nature causes that part to become perverted. The way for a person to get out of his difficulties is not to sacrifice any part of his nature, but to divest himself of the above beliefs and the seed phrases which give rise to them. By firmly rejecting them, he draws the sage and the helpers from retirement to lift him out of his difficulties. This line can also refer to the help that lifts the person upward. While it may come as an unexpected and unusual event that some people will call a miracle or supernatural, this is the ordinary way that the cosmos creates transformations, when help is not blocked by our fixed ideas of how things are supposed to work. Wow, 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 wow. Line 3. One pushes upward into an empty city. This line is similar to line 3 of hexagram 3, making a new beginning, which speaks of a person who hunts deer without the aid of the forester, the sage, who knows where the deer are and how to kill them. Such a person only loses his way in the forest, which represents the demonic sphere of consciousness created by the collective ego. Here, the empty city refers to a place from which the helpers have withdrawn. This means an institution, an imagined solution, a direction, or an attitude which does not contain the possibility of progress because of the entirely mental approach used there that ignores them. The line may also refer to a person's demanding or presumptuous attitude toward the sage or the helpers. The empty city is also a metaphor for the emptiness of hoping. Hoping is never in harmony with the cosmic way because it is focused on the future due to the assumption that there's no help in the present. The person hoping does not realize that he can receive immediate help if he will say the inner no to hoping and ask the cosmos for help. The empty city may also refer to the place, such as an imaginary heaven, for the fulfillment that he deems to be unattainable on the earth. This amounts to a statement that he has ruled out the possibility of help coming in this life from the helpers. No amount of hope will bring about a satisfactory conclusion, so long as such views and the fears and doubts that are behind them prevail. What must be addressed are these fears, doubts, false convictions, and his reliance on hoping. Then the sage and the helpers will be freed to come. Line 4, the king offers him Mount Chi, good fortune, no blame. The king offers him Mount Chi refers to a person's progress toward reunification with the cosmic whole. Through ridding himself of the errors mentioned in the previous lines, the person is lifted up, reunified with the whole through transformation. The king here refers to the helper that lifts him up out of his difficult situation. When, however, Mount Chi is taken as a symbol for a sacred mountain, the line can indicate that a person needs to free himself of the self-image of being spiritual. The person who has climbed Mount Chi flatters himself that he has attained spiritual enlightenment and a connection with heaven. In his mind, climbing the sacred mountain is the spiritual journey that will free him of the earthiness of his nature and thereby bring about his wholeness. The half-truth of this idea is obvious when we ask, wholeness of what? The person who seeks to elevate himself out of his body is not achieving wholeness, for wholeness is to fully embrace all of one's being. This embrace is possible only by divesting oneself of all beliefs that divide the personality up into parts and all hierarchical views that place one part as higher than or superior to another. When a person elevates himself above his body, which connects him with the source of the very life that he unifies, which connects him with the very source of his life, what he unifies with is death. The mind and soul draw all their energy from the person's true nature. The mind is a part of the psyche. All parts of the body's psyche are different kinds of consciousness that are meant to function in complementary ways to enhance life. Transformation occurs when a person says the inner no to these ideas and beliefs which flatter the mind and separate the person from his unity with nature. Such self-flattery denigrates the earth and all things natural. Line 5, perseverance brings good fortune. One either pushes upward by steps or is being lifted up by steps. Perseverance points to the way we make true progress. Every mistaken idea we have ever entertained, including those from our earliest childhood, remains in our mental program until such time as we bring it into full consciousness and reject it. This process is carried out under the guidance of the sage that alone knows the next step which is appropriate for each individual. The process continues until the mental program is fully deprogrammed and the person is his true self once again. A certain dedication and perseverance is required, but all is made easier when we ask the helper of self-examination to bring the ideas to mind and erase them. Perseverance in its ego meaning is often associated with images such as putting your nose to the grindstone or pursuing something doggedly. Such an attitude is one which allows the ego to be the hunter of the ego, something that certainly will not lead to success. The steps the sage wants us to take have a constancy that is free of pressure. The sage and the helper of self-examination do all the scheduling for us, bringing the lessons to us one after the other in the form of life situations. In this way, the life situations are corrected, while the lessons are being learned as part of the economy and practicability of the cosmic way. When a person finds himself asking, is there something I need to correct today, when no problems exist, he's being too ambitious. He needs only to respond to questions and situations that come to his attention to progress smoothly. Otherwise, he's meant to enjoy his life. The line also points to phrases which assert that inner work is difficult or that one cannot meditate. Self-examination can indeed be easy if the person rids himself of the seed phrases that misrepresent perseverance. They assert that anything worthwhile requires hard work, asceticism, and rigorous discipline, a view which projects itself into reality. Correctly viewed, perseverance is the process whereby a person consistently brings himself into harmony with the cosmos, because it allows him to throw off one burden after another. The goal is not that of climbing upward to attain wholeness, as through cultivating abstract virtues, engaging in positive thinking, or following someone's footsteps, nor is it climbing upward to attain heaven itself. It is rather a stepping down from all pretenses and ambitions that require such efforts. Thus, the humble person allows himself to be lifted up by the helpers. A phrase that often undoes the good results is, it can't be that easy. Doubts of this kind and other efforts of the ego to denigrate self-correction need to be intercepted immediately and deprogrammed. Line 6, pushing upward in darkness, it furthers one to be unremittingly persevering. Pushing upward in darkness refers to blind impulse driven by the ego. The person presses forward in a goal-oriented way under the conviction that some progress will be achieved. As mentioned in the general text of this hexagram, we are not meant to be goal-oriented toward a mentally conceived end. Because such efforts exclude the helpers, the most such a person can achieve is a temporary conformity to his wishes or the attainment of an ego goal. The person receiving this line is counseled to seek out and deprogram hidden seed phrases that have formed themselves into imps, which push him to act impulsively. The imps then cause him to invest in false enthusiasms. The common theme behind these phrases is the attainment of supreme success. If the goal is money or fame, the imps drive the person to sell his dignity to attain it. If the goal is spiritual perfection, the person may sacrifice his health, friends, or possessions. The careful path of following one's inner feelings by small steps never elicits this kind of enthusiasm. To be unremittingly persevering here is incorrect advice when it is taken to mean constant effort. The reason being that no room is given for the helper of transformation to do his part. It is the one that keeps the correct effort along, that helps the correct effort along, and completes the awareness through transformation. Effort furthers only when the person moves forward after having attained clarity, or when there are clear indications from the helpers that it is time to take inner or outer action. A person often receives this line when he has made a great effort to follow the sage's counsel, but has not achieved the expected result. This is because the ego has ambitiously taken charge and made him slavishly follow each word of the I Ching text, while chastising him for every mistake. This has blocked both the sage and the helper of transformation. To free these helpers, he needs to say the inner no to his slavish efforts at pleasing the sage, as if the sage were his superior. This line can also refer to a person who thinks that he has been spiritually awakened. To bring himself back into harmony, he needs to free himself of the self-image of the awakened person. And remember, the ego, it's always about self-image, or these seed phrases, the seeds of evil. in fact. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a good one. I'll see you guys in the next one.